Welcome to today's episode on the B-Xcellent podcast, where we continue to explore academic journey and personal growth in STEM. Today's episode is special because we're talking about pivotal moments in every student's life, the transition to college. For many, the first year of college is a mix of excitement, uncertainty, and adaptation. It is a time when everything feels new and you're suddenly learning more about yourself, your future goals, and what it means to succeed in this environment. Starting college isn't about just hitting the books, though. It's about adjusting to completely new lifestyles, balancing personal independence with academic demands, or figuring out how to navigate the system that can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming. This conversation is important because while every student's experience is different, there are shared challenges and lessons that can help current and future students feel more prepared. And to help me with this episode, I'm joined by two first-year students joining me. We have Jada Andrews and we have Brooke Sanders here with us today. Let's start with a quick introduction from either one of you. Can you share a bit about yourself? Let's tell us your major, where you're from, and maybe something that motivates you to pursue the field of study.
Hi, my name is Jada Andrews. I'm from just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in first year engineering right now, and I'd like to go into chemical engineering. My journey with engineering was kind of different. I feel like most people kind of know that they want to do that for a large chunk of their life. I originally wanted to be a lawyer, so my plan for college up until I'd say sophomore year was to study political science or global policy. I took chemistry though, and I had a really amazing chemistry teacher, big inspiration, and she kind of helped that shift because she really fostered my curiosity. And then again, in senior year, I took AP Chem, same exact experience, if not even better. And that's when I kind of decided that I wanted to go into chemical engineering.
Nice.
Hi, my name is Brooke Sanders. I am a first-year engineering student. I want to go into chemical engineering, and I feel like my inspiration for engineering was surrounded by my family, because my uncle is an engineer, my dad is an engineer, other members of my family are engineers, and so basically, I just remember, I was always around my dad, and it was just like one of those moments where it was just like, I just looked up to him and I was like, I really want to be like you. And he spoke in front of thousands of people, always sharing his knowledge. And I was just, at that point where I was like, I just want to get to that point just like him.
All right. So we're going to jump into the first section of this segment. This is going to be academic preparations for college. So how did you prepare academically for college before your first semester? Did you focus on anything specifically like time management, study skills, researching your major, or maybe you didn't?
I'd say I was fortunate enough to go to a school system where they really want to make sure that their students are prepared for school. So my teachers really drilled different ways of studying, different types of techniques, time management, networking, all of those things were integrated into my school's curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say outside of that, like once I had graduated in the summer, I didn't really do anything. I was in contact with students that are here at Purdue and students that did the academic boot camp through MEP. So they kind of were like, yeah, just make sure, understand that this is a lot harder than what high school is. You have to put a lot more time into it. So I'd say I prepared a little more mentally than actually doing things.
That's cool.
On my end, I was actually the one that was telling her. I was one of the students that did the summer stuff with MEP and started during the summer. And actually, this is a bit of a jump, but I came from a middle school where it was like they were preparing you for college already in middle school. And it was just like, oh, always do your assignments early, use a planner, always be organized. And so that's kind of where I'm at now still.
Okay. So that's pretty good. So you prepared mentally, but you actually did some programs. Were they helpful or were they not?
Okay, so over the summer I did Com 114, I did Engineering 133, and then I did chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my most helpful course was actually Engineering 133 because there were a lot of times where Whew.
It was rough, huh?
Whew. I started crying whenever I left that class. One foot out of that classroom, bawling my eyes out. But now it's smoother. I know how to create new folders. I know my computer well. I know.
Yes.
Very helpful.
Okay. All right. So that was the most helpful. What could have been more helpful? Not necessarily just engineering 133, but like from the program itself, like what would have been more helpful?
I feel like knowing the campus a little bit better than that first like half, because I remember it was like the first week we would have people that were already here, upperclassmen that were helping us out, and then it was like 1 week they just kind of left us, and so we were kind of just stuck, just like spinning circles around the campus trying to find walk.
Okay.
I
see. So looking back, is there anything you wish you had done differently to prepare academically for starting college?
I wish I had taken more AP classes.
Okay.
Because my school offered AP and dual enrollment, and I leaned towards the dual enrollment because you don't have that big test at the end of the year.
Sure.
And I found that it would make more sense because I can just pass the class and get the credit versus this test decides if I get the credit. But I will say the rigor of AP classes compared to the classes I'm in now is very similar. So I feel like it might have prepped me for that transition a little bit more because I did take AP chemistry. So I'm not in chemistry now, but like I could have taken physics. Like I feel like I was just limiting myself a little bit because I was like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah, I see.
But now I have to feel like it.
Absolutely.
So I wish I would have done that.
How about you?
I wish I would have locked in a little bit more for the AP test because I was relying more on the dual credits, but then I realized, because I thought I had credits for Calc 1 and Calc 2 here, but then they were like, oh, it was the wrong course. And so, if I would have locked in for the test, I could have just skipped all of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next section. This is the academic challenges and support systems. What's been the most challenging part of your academic transition so far? Has it been the workload, adjusting to new teaching styles, or something else?
I'd say kind of just in high school, I kind of just like leaned. I never really had to put a lot of effort in. So coming in, taking Calc 1, I already took Calc. So I was like, oh, I got it. Like it'll just be a review. And I've been like leaning on my prior knowledge.
Sure.
And I've noticed myself like I'm slipping in the class because I haven't been putting in the amount of work that I should be. And I'm making like dumb mistakes. So I feel like that's kind of been a challenge for me, just getting used to like working a little bit more. And then I will say Purdue's teaching style is more of we give you a problem, kind of figure it out. We're here to guide you, but we're not going to hold your hand through it. So especially when it comes to Engineering 133, it's a very self-guided class. We give you the libraries, read the books. And that's just not something I'm very used to, especially I've never taken any type of computer science class before.
Sure.
So the methodology like behind coding and how you work through the problems and things of that nature, I'm not used to at all. And then especially in a class that is more like rely on your team, rely on yourself, I'm not used to that.
Yeah, no, I think, the point there is for most courses is to give you the basic building blocks. And then now that you have the basics, then we challenge you with step above that basics problems and see how you take on that challenge.
Yeah.
Right. We're here to help guide you through those harder problems for sure, but we're not here to spoon feed, as you were kind of alluding to.
Yeah.
In your high schools. How about you?
I have two things. So first of all, it was kind of along like that line where it was just like I was just used to having the plate just given to me.
Yes.
Now I got to search through all the books because on tests, it's just like it could be something that could have been in the book, but they never talked about. And then it's just like, oh, that's on you because the resource was there. You just didn't take the time to look at the resources.
Absolutely.
I think my other thing would be failing. Tests here, they're a little more rigorous, and it's just like you kind of just have to bounce back from a failure. Because I think I remember in terms of math classes, I was always on top of it. The most recent math test, I think I saw my first F. bawled my eyes out, but then at the same time, it's just like, okay, you got the next one, bounce back.
Absolutely. I think for me as well, college is about how resilient you can be.
Yeah.
Like how you can bounce back from that F, how you can bounce back from knowing, and even sometimes it's not even as much of an F. Some people have never seen anything lower than an A before. Yeah. And it's breaking them that they got an 87, you know?
I wish I had it.
So how resilient you can be and how you can see past certain things. Some people, you get to a certain point where you're just like, I just need to make it, right?
Yeah.
So have you found an academic resource on campus like tutoring, office hours, or study groups that have been especially helpful in your transition?
Yes. I do go to office hours as much as possible for classes when I do need extra help. I will say one thing I did have to adjust to is like, I'm not used to doing work after like 5 p.m. So when office hours start at 7, I was like, Yes. But you do have to go because you do have to make the time for it because you're not going to get anywhere just sitting, staring at a problem. Like if you don't know it, you don't know it. You just got to go ask for help. I also frequent the Academic Success Center through the Minorities in Engineering program. It's really helpful in there, even if you don't, they have tutoring, but even just doing work in there, people are always like, oh, what are you working on? Do you need any help with this? Like, it's a very like helpful environment and a really good community to be a part of.
I got you.
And then in terms of study groups, I don't have study groups for my classes. When me and my friends study together, we're usually working on different things.
Sure.
And then if someone needs help with something, I can help you with this. I can help you with that.
Sure.
I think for me, I mean, this is still structured around math, but I used all the math resources. I used the math resource room, study groups, and then I got to this part where I was like, at this point, I need to talk to the professor office hours. And so actually, I realized if you talk to the professor, I feel like that's the best resource you can get because it's like they have all the insights for everything. I think I cried to my professor the other day and he was like, we're going to get you this and this test. He gave me practice problems from his book that I don't think anyone else knows about, Yeah.
Absolutely. How has office hours been like a difficult thing to get yourself to go to in the sense that you don't feel like you should need office hours? I know I met a student who had struggled on a recent homework assignment and he's like, it's not that I thought about it wrong. The website was wrong. Something was wrong on the website. And he was just like, I was like, well, had you come to office hours, we would have cleared this up. You had days.
Yeah.
And he had spent like a lot of days trying to do this thing. And I said, had you come to office hour, we would have cleared this up really quickly and you'd have been on your way. And he's like, I just felt like I shouldn't have needed office hours. Have you guys had that same type of like feeling inside as well?
I'm enrolled in econ class right now, and just compared to everything else I'm taking and the track that I'm on, I don't value econ. I need it as a degree requirement, so I don't put as much effort as I should into the class. I find it I feel like I shouldn't need to go to office hours because it's you have a textbook, just read the textbook. Like I've taken econ before. Easy class, like an easy A, GPA booster. It's not.
Okay.
It's like an ego thing because I know I should go.
I see.
Why am I go? Like I should be able to just figure this out because it's not a concept that's foreign to me. And compared to everything else I have going on, I should not be struggling on elasticity.
I just feel like, I mean, you might not want to go or need to go, but it's just like it's always good to go. There are different formats for office hours because I know Engineering 133, you got to go to the queue, wait for a good 2 hours.
There's Zoom office hours as well.
Get your questions answered. But I know for math and chem for me, it's just like the professors are just sitting there.
Yeah.
No one else is in that room. They're getting paid just to sit there. I mean, get help if you need it. If you don't need it, just be friends with your professor so they're familiar with you in case you might need help later on.
Yes. I think having a relationship with your professor in an academic way is important. I just wanted to clarify that. It is important, I believe, for them to have sympathy to help you with your particular work that you have going on. Yeah. Oh, you said setting the environment. So you find it helpful being in an environment where other people are studying,
Yes.
other people are doing work,
Yeah.
and potentially in a position to help you if you need it. And you talked about MEP. How did you guys run across MEP? Were you guys already in MEP prior to starting the semester, or?
So when I was applying to schools, all my schools were out of state.
Sure.
So me and my parents made the agreement, like, we're not going to do visits until after you get accepted because traveling costs, all that. So after I got accepted into Purdue, I got an email actually from MEP. Come spend a Monday and a Sunday with us. We'll tell you about the campus, tell you what we have to offer. So that actually was my first introduction into Purdue. It was through MEP. And then I had met them. All of the ladies that lead the program, very sweet, very caring. So I knew once I decided I was going here, I was like, I have to be a part of MEP. I need to be involved. I need them to know me. I need to know them.
Excellent.
So when I got to campus, MEP, all my friends are in MEP.
Right.
I'm always there.
Yes.
I think when my dad introduced me to Purdue, he was like, "Oh, there's just this school that's in Indiana. Let's go check it out." So we do that, and I feel like MEP was like the first group to reach out to me. Like you said, we went to the Promise program,
Preview.
Well, I went to the Promise program and Preview, and so it was kind of the same thing, but it was all through MEP. Some of the directors are actually friends with my mom too, so it's just like it's a tighter connection.
Sure.
And then just kind of touring the school 5 more times. I kept going back to MEP, so like they were familiar with my face.
Sounds good. Are there any academic support systems that you find difficult to access or less helpful than you expected?
I don't think so.
No.
I feel like I've gotten to a point where I'm in a routine now.
Okay,
so I know
got
like
you.
what works for me and what doesn't work for me.
Absolutely.
I know that math has like supplemental instruction and like the resource room and things of that nature. I will say, however, my TA this semester does not have office hours. And that does kind of, because I'm not necessarily comfortable to just like go talk to a random person and ask for help. So I did wish that she did have office hours, just because when you're in a huge lecture, my professor's office hours tend to get a little crowded. So
absolutely. 120, 300 students.
It's a lot.
We have office hours, but there's only so much we can do within an hour or 2 hour block, with that many students. How about you?
I think we're kind of flipped because I mean, I feel like there's too many resources here. It's just like you can always get help if you want it.
Okay.
You can talk to random people. They can still help you out.
All right. So you're probably, regardless if your TA doesn't have office hours, you're just like, I'll find somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Brooke's a people person.
I see. Okay. So how have you guys found managing your time between classwork, assignments, studying, especially with this more self-directed learning style that college requires?
What I do is every Sunday I have my planner. I break down my entire week, everything I need to get done. I don't do assignments in one day. So like I'll start an assignment on Monday, work on it on Tuesday, finish it, it's due by Wednesday. That's how I do things, because I feel like it just makes up a lot less overwhelming when you can just break it down into days like that. So that's really helped me stay on top of things. Coming here, I knew that I would need to do stuff because I'm in a new environment. So I need to meet friends and just get acclimated to Purdue. So I am in a lot of extracurriculars, which I'm now feeling the full force now that like the semester's in full swing. This past 2 weeks, I've been on the go consistently, and it's been a lot, but I think it's helped with my time management a lot more, because it's like, oh, I have to do this now. I can't put it off for later.
Gotcha.
At the beginning of the year or semester, a lot of professors will give you that whole sheet where it's like all the assignments. And so I just take a day, I just like write all the assignments in my planner. And so it's just like, oh, I just flip the page. Oh, this is due, this is due. But for me, I like to get my assignments done early. I mean, math homework, I'm about 3 weeks ahead.
Hey.
Engineering 133, a good week and a half. So it's just like, okay, homework is fine. And then I feel like I'll use a Outlook calendar to block out some of my extracurriculars. Like I'm in the Pet a Puppy Club, NESB, BSU, and yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let's take a slight shift. So how have maybe priorities shifted since being in college? We know in like high school, you have your extracurricular, you hang out with friends, you hang out with family, church, whatever the case may be. How have those things have shifted? How do you balance personal time, homework and studying, and hanging out with friends?
I'd say I don't really talk to my parents as much as I'm used to.
Sure.
Because like I used to come home and just like chat for hours. And it's like now I'm lucky to get like a 30-minute phone call in because I have stuff to do.
Sure.
I would say in high school I never saw my friends
Okay.
because it was just, I don't know. We never had time.
Gotcha.
But now it's like, oh, you live 2 floors down. You want to come up? It's a lot easier. I will say it is like hard to be like, know when, oh, I can't hang out. Like I need to get this done. But overall, I feel like it's just like knowing what you have the time for and what you don't have the time for. And that is a learning curve because you're hanging out with friends. You forgot that you had a quiz to do. So I have gotten a 0 because I was chatting, but that's okay.
I see.
Like Jada said, I used to go home, rant to my mom for so many hours, every single detail that happened in my day. Now I feel so bad because like I love you, Mom, but it's just like not as much time.
Yeah.
But it's just for me, it's like I'm so academic spaced. I just feel like, especially in high school too, I did not want to hang out with people because I was like, I need to get into Purdue.
So what you're saying is getting into engineering programs makes you antisocial. If you're antisocial, engineering is for you.
I promise I'm a social person. But yeah, so kind of blocked friends out. But now it's just like, oh, I'll just be working on an assignment or like extra homework. And then Jada will just kind of pop in my room and I'm like, oh, close the laptop. Let's spend time with some friends.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I also think it's like helpful too when your friends are like working on the same things you are. Like even yesterday, me and Brooke are in different math classes. So I'm like a little bit behind hers and she was helping me with my homework because I couldn't figure it out.
Sure.
But we were all still like collectively working, but we're still like spending time together, if that makes sense.
Right. And it's probably a morale boost.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We struggle together.
Hey.
Yes. Struggling together. All right, so let's move on to the next section. So we have lessons learned, strategies for success. Now that you're halfway or a little bit more than halfway through the semester, what academic habits or strategies have you developed that you plan to stick with moving forward?
I start studying a week ahead now for my tests. I used to do like a quick review walking to class.
Oh, wow.
And be perfectly fine.
What?
Oh, wow.
Literally, I have 5-minute class changes, flip through the notebook, can get in, get out, I'm done. Now, I have to sit down, go through chapter by chapter, take the notes, what don't I understand, whatever I don't understand. I have a week, go to the professor, ask during class, because it's an adjustment, that econ class.
No, I actually used to do the same thing. I actually have the same system that you have on Sundays. As much I try to actually, academia, being a professor and everything, it's a crazy life schedule.
Yeah.
But ideally, what I like to do on Sundays is my plan out day. I look ahead what the week has to go. Sometimes I even do a couple weeks, and then I plot in like blocks of time that are filled up, and then I fill in like whatever needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
I like a good couple days to weeks to get something done. I'm not really the best at getting it done all the time, the day or the couple minutes before.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I think it was like the first 5 or 6 weeks of college. I was really sick. And so I could not get the help that I needed to.
No.
And so now it's like my plan is basically, I mean, today we just got a math study guide. So I'm going to try to knock all of that out and then see my professor every other day.
Absolutely.
I will be getting an A on this test.
Absolutely.
That was one thing. The other thing kind of adds on to what I said earlier. You got to learn how to fail.
Yeah.
Like I know this sounds really, really bad to say, but it's just like maybe failing a test will like kind of help you get that mentality where it's like, it's okay. The world is not ending.
I like that you said learn how to fail, because you're really talking about the process of failing and how to pick yourself back up, right? This is not us saying be okay with getting an F.
No.
You gotta figure out how you're going to bounce back, and having that skill. You're also, I guess, saying like, maybe even saying like having that skill prior to getting to college would be helpful as well to people. People who have probably never failed or failed little in their life probably struggle the most with that. And I'll say that that was the student I was. If I got a grade lower than like a B or something, I knew it was because I didn't even try to do that assignment. But when I tried and I failed, that's one of the hardest things to get through and pivot from. For me personally, I think you guys are learning a lot of better lessons than I learned. I think I kept hitting the brick wall, like, I'll just try harder next time. And it's not about trying harder. You got to strategize. You got to figure out what went wrong. Then you also got to build off of your failures. If you're taking something like calculus, there's no way you could fail that exam and just move on from it and just try to be better on the next exam. You have to figure out what went wrong on this exam on top of learning the new material for the next exam. So learning how to fail is a very valuable skill to have in your arsenal, I would say. What's one piece of academic advice you would give a high school senior or incoming freshman who's nervous about the transition to college?
Just know that you have to study.
Yes.
I mean, you have to. Even if you got it, review. Take the time. Because like Brooke said, for example, you'll have a textbook. Whatever they don't get to class, whatever the professor doesn't get to in class, still a chance is going to be on that exam. Random question, never even heard of it. But it was in the reading.
Yeah.
Even if you understand everything that's going on in class, you do have to take the time on your own to go back and review everything.
Yes.
Ooh, okay. Just be aware that college is different than high school. You have more freedom. First of all, if you think that you can take a 7:30 because you're so used to waking up at 7:30 every single morning for high school, 7:30s are a little bit rough. Second, I feel like you need to make sure that, you're still in school, you're still in college, and at the end of the day, your goal is to graduate. Don't just be partying every weekend. Make sure that your head is still academically focused.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And have you sought mentors to help you overcome some of these difficulties with college transitions? And was it helpful?
Oh, for sure. I'd say Miss Tam and Dr. Perkins of the MEP, they're very valuable resources just because they're both engineers. Their background's in engineering, so they understand what you're going through on an academic level. And then especially being a Black woman, they understand what you're going through socially.
Yes.
So it's really helpful to talk to them. And then just having upperclassmen just in your back pocket. Just, hey guys, what's going on?
Not in your back pocket.
But you have the relationship with them. Just
yes.
I don't know what's happening in this class. Oh, I've taken it before. Who's your professor? They have their old tests. They know what's going on. And it's you're planning out your schedule for next year. I'll take that online. Things like that. It's really helpful because you don't know what's going on. Your advisor might not even know what's going on. You need someone who's lived it.
Yes. Who's lived it and is willing to act as a potential guide through it. It's kind of like having a Google mapping or, Apple mapping your destination, right?
I think it was a 133 assignment, and it was the hardest Python assignment. And I remember my TA was in the MEP room, and I was about to kind of quit, and then it was I just saw him right there, and he kind of helped me through that. And so the MEP resource room was very, very valuable. Or academic success center.
Sure.
And what is it? So, like she was saying, they were saying, oh, take some of these courses online. And also, I think it was physics specifically. They were saying how they have a physics Bible.
Everything.
I don't know.
It's got so many like physics worksheets and all this stuff on there, and it's like you wouldn't have known unless you talked to them.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I will also say about academia is it's not always just about what you know, but about who you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And who you know can be the most valuable resources there are on campus, period.
Mm-hmm. Become friends with your TAs.
Yes. Become friends with all the people, right? Your professors, your TAs, administration. They can help you out of a pinch, you know. And you'd be like, hey, I'm looking for some scholarships. And they're like, oh, I remember you.
Yeah.
I remember there was an internship. And because I had a good relationship with my professors, he reached out to me. He's like, hey, the deadline's in 2 days, but you should apply to this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll write you a recommendation letter. And I got in to a lot of internships like that. So those are also the other added benefits to having a rapport with your professor.
Yeah.
They think about you first when certain opportunities come up. Because some things pop into our lap. They're like, hey, do you know a student that would like a free internship to blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I don't have any in mind. But like when I have the connection,
yeah,
now you get it. All right. So we're wrapping up soon. So this is the segment, and I didn't tell you guys about this, but this is the segment where you guys get to ask me a question. Do you have any questions?
What is one piece of advice that you would give, you know, like someone from like freshmen, incoming freshmen?
I think you guys hit on like a majority of them. I would say be careful about the extracurricular activities you're a part of. They need to serve you in some manner. Like they need to build your CV. And I would say sometimes even bigger than just saying I was part of these organizations. A lot of times how I do interviews for jobs is I use anything on my CV as a talking point to answer the question. So sometimes you're doing extracurricular that is feel good, like it makes you feel good, but it serves nothing.
Yeah.
All right. And so I'm not saying that you can't do any of those. Just make sure you're also filling yourself up with being a part of organizations that build up your CV in a way towards the career or the job that you want. Okay. I would say also you can be a part of those organizations, but just know that they're extra. So I would say prioritizing your academics over them. All right. Sometimes it's hard to figure out when to say no to people. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have joined this organization. And it's like, unfortunately, like, what are you able to say no to? Are you able to say no to studying for your exam tomorrow? You know, and is it worth getting that F, but being successful at whatever the organization asks you to do? Or getting that A and being okay that they want to let you go as part of the organization?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's hard to say no. I think also being able to say no to friends, like, hey, love you, but I got to test this study for, you know. What I did differently to hang out and spend time with friends, I created like personal time moments for myself. So Friday night, after 3 o'clock classes, I'm free to hang out. We can hang out because there's nothing on Saturday, so I'm cool. Then on Saturday, I would spend, we'd go to brunch and we spend time in the library until dinner, and then dinner, eat, and then after dinner, that's also a time to hang out and do whatever. So like sometimes I couldn't hang out Monday through Thursday, but I could hang out Friday and Saturday. So my friends were a bit more understanding, and sometimes they joined in, like on Saturday, started going to the library together, starting studying together because I was doing it and I wasn't free until after. So there's like, oh, we'll come too. We need to do work anyway.
Yeah.
So that's part of my advice for freshmen. And all of that's really time management. College is just so fun and inviting, and you're just like, oh, I want to try this. I want to join this. I want to join that. Remember, the main thing is the main thing, and that's getting your degree. Can't get your degree if you fail all your courses.
Yeah.
Yes. How about you? Any question for you?
Oh, you answered it already.
I have another question.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
Well, actually, so I remember when I was applying for colleges, my mom was always like, you know, you're seen as a number in front of your professor's eyes. if they don't know you. And
Mhm.
so it's just like, how approachable are professors since you are one?
I see. Every professor is different. But they're still approachable because that's their job. That's their job.
Mhm.
All right. So even if you're not approachable, I would say you have every right to still approach them. Okay. So that's how you take it. How approachable is a server at a restaurant? They have to be, right?
Yeah.
They have to be. And if they're not, who do you call?
The manager.
There you go. All right. So I'm probably putting some professors in the hot seat, but that's the truth. We're here to serve you, the students. And you might be annoying us because you're coming to our office hours. We'd rather be doing something else because some students refuse to come to office hours at some point. And so some of that time is free and I get to work on other things. But you showing up, that's my job. My job is to have office hours. So my job is to help you.
Mhm.
All right. So we're approachable. There are some people that make you feel more comfortable at approaching them. And then some people who may not, but approach them anyway.
Mhm.
Like, I don't care about how awkward this is. I need this grade, right? That's how I would take that, right?
Professor Harrison, have you ever failed a class?
Fail the class. Yes, I would say yes, because there's failure in multiple senses, right?
I meant like
No, because like you have scholarships, and getting a C, you got to
Okay.
maintain over a certain amount. And so getting a C is like failure, right? It's like a death sentence. So yes, yeah. And so therefore, some people might think that's dramatic, but when you're on scholarship,
Yeah.
like a C you might as well say it's an F, because it drags your GPA down fast. All right. You would have needed to get A's and everything else just for that C to not like hurt you as much. So I have, and definitely not a fun feeling. Is there a follow-up to that question?
Yeah, how would you like deal with that? Just because.
It was hard.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. It was hard, but what happens over time, you gotta see the big picture and what the big goal is, right? And I think that's the other thing, I guess, too, that takes a bit of time to learn is what's the main point of college, all right? And getting grades and stuff is important, like getting high grades is important, but what does it serve you? Well, it serves you when you're applying to internships, right? Because
Mhm.
that's how they don't know you, so they're trying to figure out who's the best candidate. So your GPA matters. But when you're talking about jobs, nobody asks me about my GPA when I'm applying for jobs. They're looking at my skill set. They're looking at how personable I am and how best fit for the job I'd be. My GPA don't matter at that point. So what is the main focus? The main focus is getting that degree. All right. We want to get as high as we can though, but sometimes you'll increase so much fear and anxiety because you're not getting an A, you're not getting a 90, a 99, that you'll put yourself into a depressive state and then you'll start to just like fail fast. All right. You'll go from struggling to get an A to struggling to get a C. All right. And so you just got to stay locked in and stay focused. It reminds me of your point, learning how to fail. It's not about failing. It's about what you do after you failed. All right. And how you determine to finish the race. What they say, fall 7 times, get up 8. Like that's the mentality that you have to take when it comes to failure. Took me a little time to learn that one because coming from high school where I never failed like that at all, it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow. But once I got past that, you kind of like, you don't see the obstacles anymore. You see the finish line. And so you're not, these obstacles, yeah, I tripped. Oh, well, I see the finish line. And so with that mentality now, I don't see failure the same way anymore. I would say also understanding that college it should be a journey. Each semester, each class you take, each internship, each interaction you have should really dictate what you plan to do with your life. Sometimes we come in, we're like, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. That's what I'm going to do, right? And you just like, that first day coming in. And then I've known some people who struggle and get through the process, but they don't love what they do anymore.
Yeah.
They never did. But since they said day one, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon, I have to keep this path, they think.
Yeah.
And that's not true. All right. I'm not saying that the job you pick every day is going to be a happy moment, but you shouldn't be like depressed, miserable in what you do. All right. College and your internship should be paving a path to what career you're going to have. So location, some jobs are only located, like somebody was telling me they want to be a criminal investigator and they want to do the thing they saw in CSI. And I'm like, you can do that anywhere, but the places where you're probably going to get the most action in that field is probably cities. You're talking about like Miami, New York, California. You're talking about those places. But if you're trying to stay home close to parents, you're probably not going to get that action. So like some people haven't realized to themselves like, oh, if I'm going to do this particular major, the jobs I'm going to be looking for are in these areas.
Yeah.
Some people haven't recognized market trends and jobs in terms of how much this job is going to pay over time. And some jobs take 10, 15 years to pay. Some jobs require a master's before you can get to that certain bracket of money that you might want to make to support your lifestyle. So really making sure you're putting yourself in position, like going to seminars, going to hear people talk, asking them questions. And when you're asking them questions because you're really trying to figure out how to navigate to your destination of your career. And again, it's not about what you know all the time. It's about who you know. And sometimes you can meet the right person that says, hey, as soon as you graduate, you have a job here with me, ready to hire, just off of the asking questions and just pursuing how to get there. All right. So those are advice I would give. Some students are going to college like they're going to high school. I just got to go to school. All right. And I think when you take that mentality, some of those students graduate, but don't have a job ready for them.
Yeah.
So that's the advice that I would give. No more questions?
No, but actually I was also told that when people like look for jobs, some companies don't want that straight A college student still. Like they want to see like a variant of grades and like see how you can bounce back.
That is a fair point. I wouldn't say most companies, but I would say, because there's some elitist people who are like, I want the best of the best. But that being said, I would say that there's probably, in my opinion, more value in someone who's been through something because they've shown resistance, they've shown resilience on how they can fall down and get back up. All right. Because not everything in life is perfect. I have met students, I have met people who are like top brain, smartest person almost in the world, possibly. And they struggle with anything that's not perfect. And when it's not perfect, this whole room will be destroyed. Right. And they can't progress forward.
Yeah.
Because that's the point, progressing forward. Things happen. It's unfortunate. How do we move forward? And I would say the student who's been through something, who has a bit more variety there, probably knows how to traverse life a little bit better than that person who's always maintained a 4.0 the whole time. Okay. So yes, I do think the skill of learning how to fail is a valuable thing to have in any candidate, I think. All right. So with that, we're going to close. And we had, I think, a very insightful conversation. We've learned so much about the academic journey from these bright young scholars and from what worked for them in preparing for college and strategies that they're using to tackle their coursework. I think their stories have highlighted something incredible. The key word that still stands out for me is resilience, learning how to fail. College is full of challenges, but it's also full of opportunities to grow, adapt, and push through those obstacles. And to our listeners, I hope you have been inspired by these fresh perspectives on what you'll take away from some of their actionable tips from today's discussions. Few things that comes to mind is the planning, staying in environments that are conducive for your learning, utilizing resources, and so forth. College is a learning curve for everyone, but the persistence and the right tools, success is within reach. So I hope today's episode has motivated you to think about your own academic journey. whether you're just starting out or you're deep into your studies. These scholars have shown us resilience and an open mind and a little creativity. You can navigate through college successfully. So this is Dr. Brandon Harrison Smith, and I want to thank you for joining the B-Xcellent podcast. And we hope to see you next time as we continue to explore new journeys and fresh perspectives in STEM and beyond. Thanks.